This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, welcome into a live Locked On Tigers Postcast. And this was one of those games you sprinkle it up and throw it out. It was a bummer. Tigers shut out by the Athletics. Final score in this one, 3-0. And Tigers offense mustered just 4 hits. So we'll find a way to talk about that. We'll talk Jack Flaherty's outing and a little rubber match tomorrow with the pesky Athletics. The numbers in which the success that they've had against the Tigers as of late somewhat disturbing. But buckle up, dial it in. This is your Locked On Tigers Postcast. It's your post-game destination for all things Detroit Tigers. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. That's why we do it live. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out Locked On Tigers on the daily with Scott Bentley as well. Now, this is one of those games, again, and of course, I'll have my biggest talking point, our turning point, and our player of the game. But one of those games where you're watching and you're like, I know we've all seen that meme. It's oftentimes used for the Detroit Red Wings offseason of that cartoon character stoking the fire. Come on, do something. Come on, do something, do something. And then just nothing happened. And it's a tough luck outing for Jack Flaherty because he makes one mistake and it's deposited into the seats for a 3-run homer for Nick Kurtz. And the only offense of the game is that 3-run homer. So it's never a bad time at Comerica Park. I'm certainly not suggesting that, but hey, if you were there, let me know. I mean, you can't beat a summer night at Comerica Park, that's for sure. However, there are other games that are going to be more exciting than the Tigers getting shut out and only amassing 4 hits compared to the opposition with 3 runs and it coming on one swing of the bat. So there was one swing of the bat that yielded runs tonight. But that being said, hey, this is still a 50-win baseball team. This is still the team with the best record in baseball. Are there some areas of concern? Absolutely. Let me know your biggest areas of concern in the comments, and we'll get to our best ones. But first and foremost, we always start with our biggest talking point.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Tigers offensively just didn't muster anything. It's not like they even really had a lot of great opportunities. You had the triple from Wenzel Perez, and then with 1 out and a runner on third, Zach McKinstry strikes out. As a team, the Tigers were 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Think about that. 4 times. That's it. They had a runner in scoring position throughout the course of this one. I mean, the Athletics pitching staff, you give them a lot of credit. The definition of shutting down an offense. And for Jacob Lopez, I mean, it's just his second win of the season. He goes 7 scoreless, scattering just the 3 hits, and he struck out 6. And if you remember last year, we had a lot of these postcasts where, Tigers offense just snoozing through 9 innings again, but it hasn't been that way this year. And I think we all know that and can chalk this up to an off night. And is it a pattern? Is it something we're going to see repeatedly? That's when concern can start to sink in, but I'm not necessarily there. Now, there was another opportunity later. You got the runner on second with 2 outs after the Gleyber-Torres double. And I guess you could classify that as, somewhat threatening there in the 8th inning, but a nice catch made on the Colt Keith line out and Colt Keith put a good swing on that as a pinch hitter for Jahmai Jones. I didn't mind Colt Keith pinch hitting there after the Gleyber-Torres double. Give yourselves an opportunity to try to get something on the scoreboard and make it, a 2-run game and try and, start to stockpile some hits there. But that being said, it wasn't meant to be tonight. And I wish I could come up with some kind of better analogy or better, coming to terms of some kind of glorious proclamation. But, in 162 of these, sometimes there's just not that to be had. I did like, the Tigers bullpen getting out of some jams there that you saw from the the pitching staff from the Detroit Tigers when Dylan Smith came in with 2 men on and was able to get the pop out to second and Bleday to strike out there to end the inning. And I'd also say that the Riley Green throw from left field on that Soderstrom flyout was impressive to halt the runner there after the Max Muncy single, and Kurtz was on to third. So Riley Green prevents him from scoring there. And we're looking, of course, we're grasping for straws here for some of the positive takeaways. In a normal game, are we pointing out plays like that? Probably not. But in the case of a 3-0 final in which the Tigers were completely blanked, you got to point some of those out. I will say from Tyler Soderstrom, too, with the Athletics, one of the better catches you will see there in the corner to rob a base hit, because the A's, they played a nice brand of baseball tonight. You got to give them some credit. But let's get into those comments, because there's a lot of people that have a lot to say. And I think a lot of it has to do with Spencer Torkelson, and Thomas Rotondi here is ready to send Spencer Torkelson down, and Parker Meadows, and Jack Flaherty is cook. Well, Thomas, I will remind you, we are the best team in baseball. And yes, tonight was a bummer. But I'm not quite there. Was it any of those guys' best night? No. And again, from Jack Flaherty, if you're a fan of the stat of a quality start, he put forth a quality start tonight. The definition of a quality start: 6 innings, 3 runs or less. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 earned runs. He only gave up 5 hits. He struck out 7. Don't love the 4 walks, of course, but this isn't a sound the alarm Jack Flaherty start. Is it dominating? No. Do you think he has another level, another gear? Absolutely. We hope he sure does. So sometimes it's okay to be logical and thoughtful in the analysis of a player's performance without the sky falling or him being elevated to a Cy Young winner. There can be somewhere in the middle there. Demetrius McNeil is up next, saying after scoring 11 runs in game 1, the next game is all zeros and getting worked by a rookie A's pitcher named Jacob Lopez. Come back next game despite 50-31 record. Yeah, let's go win a series tomorrow. How about that? A little day game rubber match. Gaming Kiwi also says Jack needs to be sent down, to be honest. I am not there. And if there are better options, we were just complaining yesterday about, or 2 days ago, whatever it was, about AJ Hinch using openers as often as he is. So we want to send another starter down and continue to take away from an already scarce starting rotation given the injuries. I don't think so. I agree more with Mark's comment here, saying, how do you guys blame Flaherty? ? Exclamation point. LOL. We scored 0 runs against the A's. Yeah. I don't want to pick sides here. I love everybody. And I love everybody tuning into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. And we're all Tigers fans here. And your comments are welcome. I say that over and over again. But it's not, this game's not on Jack Flaherty. It's a quality start, for goodness sakes. And again, I'm not elevating Jack Flaherty as a Cy Young winner, but I'm not blaming him for the 3-0 loss. All right. JP says, can Scooble pitch every other day? Tigers should have swept these bums. No offense. And Jack has typical bad inning. This team is World Series bound. That is the goal, guys. I would agree. I would agree with the premise that the World Series is the goal. And a run in the playoffs, I think you can say, is the expectation. And for the front office and Scott Harris and company to heed of the opportunity that they have in front of them, it would be nice to see moves to be made to share that same mindset of, hey, this is a team that is good enough to get there. Let's go for it. Let's patch up some of these holes at the deadline, and let's go for it. Javi Baez _prod says, if Javi wasn't robbed, we would have at least had 1 run. I would agree with that. I mentioned a good catch there. Christopher Weimer says, need 2 new corner infielders. I am on board with the addition of a corner infielder. When I mentioned patching up some of those holes, I think that's a big part of it, because you do feel like, that third base position is a potential hole for the Detroit Tigers. And Torque has been inconsistent. We can agree with that. But over the course of a marathon season, I mean, think of the stretches he had where we were singing his praises and talking about him as a comeback player of the year. That's the type of production he was putting forth at one point in this season. Do you wish he was more consistent? Absolutely. But is there an element of the, streakiness to his game? Yes. And that comes and goes with both positive streaks and some of the droughts that we're seeing right now. Discover Tree 55 says Mason Miller is the pitcher to go get. Yeah, he looked great tonight. And Benetti and Andy Dirks were oohing and on over some of the stuff that he has. And I mean, he's topping out at 103 miles per hour, 15 saves. He struck out 2, and just the one inning just made quick work. So yeah, I don't hate that either. Okay, there's a few more comments to get to. And I want to be fair and try to get to them all, but we got to keep the lights on here, Locked On Tigers Postcast. So we'll do that next, and then we will run through our player of the game and turning point. Don't go anywhere. It's live, Locked On Tigers Postcast. This episode of the Locked On Tigers Postcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. Have you ever wished managing your money felt a little bit easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch Money puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. I love how Monarch Money helps you reach your financial goals. Listen, I'm saving for a wedding. How about that? And Monarch Money provides excellent ways to build your wealth. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Locked On MLB is the promo code at monarchmoney.com. This episode of the Locked On Tigers Postcast is also brought to you by our friends at Rougiette. That's right. When I tell you about Rougiette, now, we've all heard those commercials, and you've all seen them for Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is next generation prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rougiette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. You can even read real customer reviews on the website, and it's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. Head over to rougiette.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnMLB and use promo code LockedOnMLB for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, and or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information. All right, welcome back to a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Tigers blanked by the Athletics 3-0. Mark is up next. He says, tip their caps, over with runners in scoring position. It is somewhat simple. I mean, they didn't have a lot of opportunities, just the 4 at-bats with runners in scoring position. DT Lyons says, everyone's hating on Flaherty, but it was one of his better games. I would agree. Again, the hate for Flaherty is compounded by the 0 runs on 4 hits, where Flaherty gave up 3 runs on 1 swing of the bat and still went 6 innings. It's a quality start. Again, I think he's got more in the tank and he can be better, and he's shown he's been better. It just wasn't tonight. I mean, I don't know how else you can put it. All right. Cleveland did win. That's from Drum. So the lead has shrunk to what? I got to double check. I don't want to provide fake news, as they say in the biz. So what? 8.5? I believe someone in the comments will double check on that. But let's get into our turning point in this one.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Well, by that sounder and that intro, it's pretty easy to pick a turning point, because in the third, Nick Kurtz hit a home run to center and it scored 3 runs, and the Athletics won 3-0. So there's your turning point. I don't mean to minimize the segment, but you get the idea. Our player of the game's next.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
In the interest of tipping your cap, just like we mentioned, you got to tip your cap to the rookie, Jacob Lopez. He gets the win, his second career win. 7 innings, 3 hits, did not allow a run. He struck out 6 and only walked 1. So listen, sometimes this happens in sports. You get a bummer. You get a bummer of a game, a bummer of a night. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a bummer of a post-game show, but you got to play the cards that you're dealt. Tomorrow, rubber match, a little day game action. I love a good day game. We'll be live immediately following the final out that is recorded tomorrow afternoon at Comerica Park. First pitch, 1:10. And I believe it's going to be an opener for the Tigers, and Dietrich Enns has officially been named the opener. The 34-year-old at 6'1" will come on up and make his I believe second career start. So yes, I'm confirming that right now. He is in his career 2-0 in 11 appearances with a 3.42 ERA. He does have 2 saves to his name, but he has thrown a whopping 26 1/3 innings in the major leagues. How about a little fire up Chips love? Central Michigan. There you go. He and Zach McKinstry, a couple of Chippewas on the roster. Am I allowed to say Chippewas? Well, we'll see. Fire up Chips. There you go. But that's tomorrow. Rubber match, Tigers and Athletics. Did I say who the A's are throwing out there? I don't think I did. And it's Jeffrey Springs. The left-hander is 6-5 with a 4.24 ERA and 72 strikeouts for old Jeffrey Springs. In 2025, he has started 14 games, so this will be his 15th start with the 4.24 ERA. Looking forward to a little live Locked On Tigers postgame immediately following tomorrow's game as the Tigers go for the series win. It's the rubber match. And hey, what did we say yesterday? 50 wins, and we are officially at the 81 game mark. So 50-31. Tigers still on pace for 100 wins this season. Math is not my friend, so that's as easy as I can make it. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out Locked On Tigers with Scott Bentley, and I'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon, less than 24 hours. How about that? See you then.